Every U.S. bank here in the United States is expected to close in the near future. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly when they're going to close. And no, I'm not talking about holidays. I am talking about banks just ceasing to exist. According to experts, they have a date. We're also going to address how more than 1,000 branches are expected to close in 2024 alone. That is from now until the end of the year. So I'll break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So what would you do if all of a sudden you had this money, but you didn't have a bank to take it to? Every single bank in the United States ceased to exist. Well, we may be into that in the near future. Here's what we know. According to reports, they are saying that new research is indicating that every single bank in the United States will be closed by 2041. Yeah, we're almost in 2025. So in the next 16 years, we are going to see no banks in the US. But why is that? Well, before we get into that, I want to show you what's happening today. Just look at this. It says major US banks on course to close a staggering 1,000 branches this year. Now, I'm not going to go over the full list because frankly, many people aren't going to care. But why are they closing? Well, let's look into this. It says US banks closed more than 700 branches in the first 9 months of the year, forcing thousands to travel further to access vital services. Bank of America closed the most locations of any bank. They closed, we'll pull that up in just a second. They closed 132 locations between January and September. U.S. Bank followed right behind with 101 branches of their own. Now, this says that U.S. banks closed more than 700 branches in the first 9 months of the year. They're expecting at least 300. Well, guess what? Many banks are now coming out and saying that they are expecting mass closures. Here's the reason why. They are now anticipating we are going to see anywhere between 2 to 5 banks close every single week for the rest of the year. But there's a huge change that could happen. Okay, a huge catalyst. If we see just one bank start to see a bank run where people are going to the bank, pulling all their money out, it's going to create a ripple effect. And I've said this before, currently there's $19 trillion in deposits here in the United States. We have about $122 billion in the FDIC insurance fund. So less than 1% of all deposits are actually insured. Now, I want to show you this, okay? These are some of the bank closures, right? So Wells Fargo has 92. You can see it right here. Bank of America, 132. U.S. Bank, 101. Wells Fargo, 92. Chase, 90. TD Bank, 52. PNC, 48. Citizen, 37. Wood Forest, National Bank, 31. Key Bank, Fulton Bank, Capital One, and then others, 129. You can see it right here. Anyway, okay? Total of 754 locations have closed in the first 9 months of the year. Now, here's where things get interesting. Why are banks closing? Okay, what is happening? Why are all these banks closing? Well, the reason why so many banks are closing is simple. Number one, we don't need all these banks. You used to need a bank in order to take your money and go deposit it. Now you don't. You can deposit that money through an ATM machine. And having an ATM machine at many different street corners is really simple. You don't need an actual bank with offices and 20 different employees and a lobby and receptionists and bank vaults and all that stuff. No. You will be perfectly fine with the vestibule with a few ATM machines in it, and you can do about 90% of the transactions. You don't need somebody there. Well, guess what? That's the number one reason why more and more banks are closing. because they've realized during the pandemic people were using their smartphones. People were not getting cash. Think about it. Why would you need a bank? If you want to go and get some cash, you want to go and deposit cash, right? You might need a bank if you just have too much, right? But who has that problem these days? Now, here's the other thing. Most people get paid in direct deposit. Goes right into their bank account. You can get everything on your phone. Okay? So you can pull up your account balance on your phone. You can transfer money on your phone, right? You can pay bills on your phone. You can apply for a credit card. You can apply for an auto loan. You can get a home loan straight from your phone. You don't need to go into the bank. Okay? You can apply for a business loan in many cases with your phone. You don't need a bank. So here's what is very interesting. As more businesses, and I've talked about this before, and I know many people are upset, as more businesses decide they're going to move away from cash. They don't want you paying with cash anymore. They want you paying with a debit card or a credit card, right? Well, as more businesses decide to do that, banks are going to be on their way out even faster. We're going to see, the banking jobs are going to cease to exist. They're just going to go away. Now, why am I bringing this to your attention today? Well, I'm bringing it to your attention for one main reason. We are now starting to see that artificial intelligence is taking over. We're now starting to see that certain jobs don't really have a role anymore because AI is taking over. Other positions are now taking on the roles and responsibilities of others. Now it means they don't need all those employees. This is something we saw during the pandemic, and I told you this was going to happen. I warned people, make sure you are developing new skills. Improve on the skill sets that you do have and develop new ones. That's the only way you're going to survive in this economy. I told people that. Probably the very first video I did, it was probably in the middle of March 2020 when everything was getting shut down or days before it got shut down. I told people, go and develop a new skill. And the reason I said that is because I saw what's coming. And this was before it even happened. Now, it's happening. People are losing their jobs. Artificial intelligence is taking over. And we're finding new ways and more efficient ways to run companies. That's going to cause businesses to close. That's going to cause brick and mortar stores to close. That's going to cause banks to shutter as well. So, that's what we know as of today. But again, as we get more information and as we get reports of potential banks shutting down, I promise I will bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get it. So, that is what we know as of today. Again, so I want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.